Hey y'all, it's the multifaceted mom, aka Lataya, and I am back with another video. Today, I really wanted to talk about things that I learned from leaving a toxic relationship. Now, if you don't know, I was married. I was married or in a relationship for about 5 years. That's my children's father. And I was married for 3 years, but in a relationship for 5. And I got a divorce about a year and a half ago. And since I have been on a very intense healing journey. Now, I have been in therapy on and off for about 5-6 years. But as of lately, probably for the last, I would say year, or for the last 2 years, almost 2 years, I've been with the same therapist, and we've been working literally every single week to just really be on a proactive healing journey. Because when you are in a toxic situation or in a crazy situation, the issue is that a lot of times when you come into therapy, you're coming with like fires that need to be put out. But as of, I would say, the last year, it was really no fires that needed to be put out. And it was really all about really getting into the nitty gritty of things that, I don't talk about, things that are hard to really uncover. So today I just want to talk about the 5 things that I pretty much learned from healing thus far, from healing from my toxic relationship. So if you don't know, I have pretty much expressed in one of my videos just about being in a very, very toxic relationship, just crazy relationship, and it brought the most toxic side of me out. And also I'm glad it did, because it gave me an opportunity to grow and really understand some of the things that I didn't know was there. So yeah, let's get into it. So before I got into my relationship, I was the most confident person, honey. I did not play by myself. I was obsessed with just self-improvement, just working on myself, just building a life for myself. That was my ultimate goal, and I did not play about that, okay? I knew I was the shit. I'm trying to stop cussing. I knew I was the stuff. I, very much thought highly of myself. However, the first thing I realized is that confidence does not equal self-worth. So something that I noticed is that I have very low self-esteem in a relationship. I have very low self-worth, and I didn't have a sense of self-worth. And the thing is, and I'll really go get into this in another video, but self-worth does not equal confidence. Self-worth does not equal self-esteem. It's a complete different thing. When you have confidence, you just have confidence in your ability to do something, and your knowing, and the way you carry yourself. You may have confidence that you're a cute person. You may have confidence that you have a great personality. But when it comes to self-worth is all about how you want to live in a human existence, how you value your existence. And the reality is that as I was navigating a marriage, in a relationship, I didn't really question, do I really want to exist in this current moment, feeling the anxiety, feeling the pain, feeling the hurt over and over and over again with something or someone who won't change? And also, do I want to live in an environment that is constantly, and the anxiety really came from me trying not to lash out, me trying to really just control my reactions to certain things. But it was a terrible way to live. And it has more to do than just a relationship, but it's really about your self-worth when it comes to friends, family, when it comes to your job. Like, do you want to wake up going to work at a horrible job every day? Like, that's how deep self-worth goes, which is why I'll be doing a separate video on how I'm building my self-worth, and hopefully it can help y'all too. The next thing I learned is I valued my marriage over my self-respect. Now, the thing is, I know that a lot of times when people get into relationships, they really deem, their partner as something to be like, as like the prize, or as like something that they don't want to lose. But the thing is, it really wasn't about my partner at a certain point. It was more so about my marriage. I wanted my marriage to work. So I looked at my marriage as like this project. Like, okay, he not acting right. Maybe I have a lot of issues. I did have a lot of issues, and I'm gonna get into that later. But he got issues, I got issues, we married, so we need to make this work no matter what. And that means that even though I'm, getting disrespected, even though I'm put in constant positions where I'm being antagonized and things like that, I still wanted my marriage to work. So I'm like, as long as we go to therapy and have this like set out plan, step A, plan step 1, step 2, step 3, we're going to just make this work, because marriage is God ordained. Marriage, they say if you just pray over your marriage and things like that, like God is going to come through. And I used to listen to a lot of sermons about just like, marriage, reconciliation, and just like really working on my marriage instead of working on myself. Because if I would have took half of the energy that I had in trying to make a marriage work and put that energy into really focusing on myself, pouring into myself, loving myself, doing things like just keeping up with my everyday maintenance, doing things like journaling, processing my trauma, those things I actually started to do in the last year. But if I would have put that if I would have kind of implemented that a year into my marriage, my baby Lila wouldn't have been born, okay? Because I put my marriage on a pedestal, and that's just something that I will never do again. Because really, God comes first, then marriage. And actually for me right now, for me, it's God, myself, and then marriage. But God and yourself is kind of like the same thing, because when God speaks to you, you need to listen. But if you're so busy idolizing this marriage that you're not even hearing your own voice to say that you need to leave, or you need to do certain things or make certain moves, then you will be so caught up in trying to make this marriage work that you kind of zone out God's voice telling you to leave. So that was something, yeah. I mean, I had homeboy so confused that I was begging for him, but really it was more so I wanted my marriage to work. I did not want to be divorced. You don't get married to get a divorce. You get married to stay married and have a lifetime. And you think, oh, we might be going through this for 5 years, or for a year or 5 years, but maybe it'll change. And I think that if I had to move forward, I would just really, if I had to do it again, I would tell that Taya, or if I could speak to her, I would tell that Taya that it's not about a marriage. It's not about working it out. It's about your self-respect. You are a daughter of God. Does God want you to exist in a world where you're being treated badly? Does he want you to exist in this world where you're constantly feeling on edge? You're constantly feeling like you're gonna get hurt like in a month for something. Like, he doesn't want you to feel like that. Even though, yes, he values marriage, he also put you here on earth alone before he even before he even talked about marriage. First it was Adam, then it was Eve. Like, yeah. And also, another thing that I think we really don't talk about is the fact that sometimes the marriage that you created isn't even a marriage that God wanted you to be in the first place. So we really got to take that into consideration when it comes to if you want to value your marriage to that high regard, because sometimes you could get married to the most toxic person that you was never supposed to be married to. You was just supposed to say hey to him and keep him pushing, but then you took it a further step and then asking God to bless something that's not even a part of his plan. So the third thing is that I feel like I had a scarcity mindset. Now, I didn't think I had a scarcity mindset because I really was all about, chasing my dreams and things like that. But the thing is, one of the reasons why we tend to tolerate so much toxicity, so much disrespect, and just, even if it's not even to that extent, but you still know in your heart that this is not your person, a lot of times we be so afraid to leave because we don't know if it's anybody that can be better. If it's anybody that can be better for us. Because yes, everybody does have bad things and flaws and stuff like that. However, a lot of times people be sticking in relationships for year after year after year, even though bad things have happened and things have God have gave you red signs or red flags to get out of the relationship. We'll then be like, oh, I've been in this relationship for a year. I can't just give up. Then next thing you know, you done took however much BS. Then now it's 5 years down the line. Now you're like, oh, you don't want to give up 5 years. And then now it's 10 years. And it's like you had signs to leave 6 months into the relationship, but because you had this scarcity mindset that it was not greener on the other side, it was not more for you on the other side. Greener on the other side of it could also mean just you being alone and you focusing on your purpose until God brings you who is actually meant for you. But at the time, I even thought that my ex was so cream of the crop because he really took pride in not cheating. But the thing is, he did a lot of other stuff that dang on near was cheating. But I was so caught up in my childhood trauma of, oh, well, all these men have cheated, so I just I'm putting you on this pedestal because you are not a cheater, that I ignored a lot of other BS. So I think just having that scarcity mindset will really keep you stuck. Just like a job, it'll keep you stuck in a position where you're not supposed to be because you're so afraid of the abundance or whatever is on the other side. Another thing that I did, I would say, is I had control issues. And I think a lot of people are afraid to admit that they have control issues because of the implications. When you think of control issues, you think of like abuse. You think of somebody who is just overbearing and too much. Now, I would say my control issues really stem from me trying to make somebody fit into this box that they were never meant to even be in the vicinity of the box. You feel me? You cannot make somebody be a good partner if they are not even a good brother, a good son, a good just friend. You can't make somebody fit into this mode of a person that you want them to be. And even let's be real, people be faking personalities. People really will fake the fact that they, will take you on a date every week, or they, have this facade. You can't make the person that you see today fit into that bubble and fit into that square. And I feel like a lot of my arguments, and I could tell the difference because when I actually was done and I did not care if he changed or not, whether it be for the next female or not, I had nothing to fight over. I had nothing to argue over because I do not care about what you decide to do. I have no control over your actions. This is my circle, you feel me? And these are the boundaries and things that, that protect my area and my peace and my energy. And anything you do outside of that, I have no control over. But when I was married and I was like into it and trying to make it work, I feel like I had, the only reason why I was trying to fight so hard is because I had control issues, and I wanted to control this person and make him do exactly what I wanted him to do. It's like trying to control somebody who is a serial cheater, and you're fighting, you're cussing him out, you're doing crazy stuff, you're doing show-ups, you're slashing tires. All of that is to really scare this person into making them fit into this faithful man. And if they are not faithful, if they are not the person that you want them to be, or the person that you can feel safe emotionally, physically, mentally around, then let them go. And I think if I would have told myself that, I would even say a year down the line, I would have been gone, because a lot of the fights were really rooted in the fact that I was trying to control somebody, trying to make them play by my rules in a relationship, or rules that I was thinking honestly was common sense. But at the end of the day, people will play in your face. People will play in your face. People will act stupid. People will, feel, and sometimes that junk be coming from, their childhood, maybe what they have seen. Maybe they seen a lot of people, doing open relationships, and maybe they think that, DMing girls and stuff like that is okay as long as they don't have sex with them. If it's not okay with you, that's all that matters. And that's what I mean when it comes to going back to self-worth. Because self-worth is, do I want to exist in a relationship with somebody who does this? No, I don't. You can still do that, but I'm going to eliminate myself out the situation. That is how self-worth works. That is how not controlling things that you cannot control works. Even if somebody says that they go change, they go stop. If you see a pattern, meaning more than twice, honestly, I want to say more than once, of behavior, they're not going to stop. They're most likely going to keep doing it. And I think that was one of the things that took a long time for me to accept. Really, honestly, I accepted my partner, but on my way out. You feel me? Because our marriage therapist will pretty much be like, oh, you have to, are you willing to accept him for who he is? Are you willing to accept the verbal abuse? Are you willing to accept the physical abuse? Are you willing to accept the mental and emotional abuse? Are you willing to accept all of these things and just work with it? And she said, I can teach you how to navigate in this relationship, but do you want to accept this? And I said, absolutely not, because if I accept it, then I'm not going to be here, because who would accept such a thing? But the thing is, I was accepting by still staying there, but I was going through so much mental stress trying to get this person to change into what I would accept. But the thing is, you have to just let go of control and let go and let God. And when somebody shows you who they are, believe them and move on. Don't believe them and then be like, or matter of fact, us women, we do stuff like they'll show you who you are, and then we'll make these excuses like, oh, he was just mad. He just went through some childhood trauma. He just went through, he doing this, he cheating because he seen his mama get cheated on all the time. It does not matter. You are not his therapist. His problems and childhood problems that he feel like or isn't a problem, because a lot of times they don't really be even feeling like they have a problem. But even if he says he has a problem, if he's not taking a responsibility, getting a life coach, getting a therapist, going to addiction counseling, whatever, any of that is not your problem. Point blank period. You could love them from afar, but just because you love somebody does not mean that they get access to you. My last thing is, I idolize my partner and my idea of a family that I had in my head. This was kind of what I was alluding to earlier when I was saying that I put my husband in this idea of a family on a pedestal. Really, I put marriage on a pedestal for real, and you're not supposed to idolize anything, including marriage. You are not supposed to idolize your kids. You're not supposed to idolize another person. That is actually a sin. And if you are not a Christian, idolizing anything is just really dangerous, because it kind of blinds you from things that you wouldn't tolerate if you didn't idolize this person, or if you didn't idolize. I feel like even though I had never imagined myself being married, I just could not see past the glitz and glamour and the flowers and the beautiful family pictures and the beautiful the possibility that things could change. This like little story I made up in my head, if we all go to therapy, we could just really work stuff out. If we really just like overcome our trauma and heal from our trauma, we could just really work stuff out to make this marriage work. But at the end of the day, like, if I'm to be real, I really didn't like my ex. Like, as a person, I didn't like him. I don't think I would have hung out with him as a friend just because of the type of person he was. It wasn't about and he's not like, well, he wasn't a terrible person. I just personally do not hang out with certain type of people, and that's just me. But I think, again, another thing that I learned I even didn't write down is that my relationship was based on attention and sex. And when you really think about it, a lot of relationships are based on just somebody desiring you and you desiring that person and y'all together. And then when it really comes down to going through stuff, y'all don't really love each other. Y'all just desire each other. And then y'all become attached. And then the attachment is so strong that you can't distinguish between if y'all attached or if in codependent or if y'all actually are in love and genuinely love and like each other. So that was actually 6. I actually wanted to only say 5. But if you relate, if you have more to add that you learned from your relationship or leaving a toxic situation, please add it in the comments, because I really want to hear from y'all, because I know it's a lot of people who are going through craziness. Okay? See y'all.